Hi everybody, my name's Jess. I'm a musician and I also do bits of TV presenting as well. So I'm a TV presenter without a tripod at home. It is Saturday the 31st of December 2022, just about to go into a new year. And I just want to get on here and talk about my periods. So I've just come from, tonight I'm supposed to be doing a gig. So obviously it's, New Year's Eve for one of the biggest earners for most people in the music industry or the media industry. And I've just had to cancel the gig I cancelled it last night because I was sitting in a hotel room by myself, just come on my period, having a panic attack and kind of unable to think about having to stay in a hotel by myself for the night and then having to get up and work all day and do a gig, which wasn't going to finish till 2 o'clock in the morning, which is generally the way I tend to be for at least 5 days every month. So I'm just going to give a little bit of a backstory about periods and then also talk about PMDD, which is, I can never say it properly, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which I actually got diagnosed with about 4 years ago, but have never taken very seriously, and have now got to a stage in my life where obviously I'm losing money. So I'm losing money tonight and face and, great gig. And I have a band of 3 guys who are very understanding actually about this kind of thing, but obviously they're upset because they were really excited about the gig and we rehearsed. So it's all money. And I think that, well, it's really time for me to start taking this a bit more seriously, and also possibly the entire world, because, well, I think one of the main things is that's a dog making a lot of noise. Just kind of summing up how I feel actually. But yeah, I think that obviously we're women and we're told to sweep these kind of feelings under the carpet quite a lot. But I was lucky enough a couple of years ago to actually get a diagnosis with this after quite a severe incident, which was caused mainly by my period, but then also drinking and other factors as well. But yeah, mainly caused by my period. So anyway, I'm just going to give you a bit of history about my periods, and then I'm going to talk about premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which is really not very nice. So I started my periods when I was 11, and probably the first sort of year or so when they were kind of kicking in. I mean, it's a long time for me now. I'm, long time ago now. I'm 38, so very long time ago. Probably the first year or so I was completely fine, and then I remember from about 14 onwards, I think, being in absolute severe agony. So enough pain to, I never passed out, but I did have to have, I went to a girls' school, and I remember a friend of mine carrying me to find my mum once because I just couldn't stand up properly. So my mum worked at the school, so I remember that when I was about 14. And then I've got other kind of memories of things like sitting in a car once at school when I must have been about 17, and just waves and waves of unbelievable pain. I mean, the worst pain possible. I mean, I haven't had a child, but I guess that's what it is really. So these big kind of contractions of pain and just bleeding really heavily, and then other kind of physical symptoms like throwing up every month. I would always throw up, shaking, and all probably just really to do with the pain. And then other things like weight gain, so I always tend to put on about 7 pounds, bloating, so they're really the physical symptoms I get. And then obviously my boobs really hurt as well, but that, as I've got older, has kind of calmed down. And what I've found is that as I've got older, and I have been to see doctors about this, etc., they've given me things like methylenic acid, which has really helped actually, and suggested I go on the pill. But I'm quite sort of against the pill. I'm always against kind of changing my hormones, but as this is now affecting my life, this is something I'm now thinking about doing. But throughout my life, I have obviously been to see doctors, especially when I was younger, because I was in so much pain. And I mean, I've watched a couple of other videos on people that have got PMDD, and they've said that when they know their period is coming, they set aside kind of 5 days of the month just to go, right, that's it. I can't, I have to take a kind of step away from life for 5 days. And that's all well and good when you have that time. But if you're someone that is a musician that may have to do a gig, or is running a business, so I have an events business as well, I don't really have the time to spend 5 days of every month just going, oh, I can't do anything, you know. So for me, this is kind of a journey of trying to find a way of actually feeling like a human, rather than having 5 days of the month where I am just absolutely insane and in quite a lot of pain. So I just talked about the physical symptoms, and when they diagnose you with PMDD, they give you a list of symptoms, which I've got here actually, and I'll go through them in a minute. And apparently you only have to have one from each section, and I've just gone through it, most of them, and I've got all of them, so I don't really know what that means, but yeah. But I think for me I'm not a person that wants to take 5 days out of my life each month. I'm not someone that gets sick very often, and it annoys me when I am sick, and I'm very much a go get them kind of person. So to have at least 5 days of the month where I'm like, it's just a real pain in the ass. So yeah, but so as I said, throughout my life I have been to see doctors mainly just to do with the physical symptoms, so mainly to try and get rid of that pain, because obviously that pain was, when I was younger, as I said, so severe. I've now had things like, I've had 2 abortions in my life, both of which seem to have helped calm them down a little bit. And I do know women that have had babies that used to have very bad period pains, that, you know, that's kind of something that doesn't happen anymore. They don't, you know, it has made them less severe. And I have noticed things like, if I've taken the morning after pill in my life before, my periods will totally calm down, which I spoke to a doctor earlier this year and just sort of mentioned that, and he said that's a suggestion that I should go on the pill. So I think maybe in the next couple of months it may be something that I try. The reason, as I said before, that I haven't thought about going on the pill, or when I was diagnosed with PMDD, they actually suggested that I go on SSRIs, again something that I'm a bit scared of doing. I know lots of people that are very scared of going on anything that really alters your mood or any antidepressants, and it's something that, you know, I am also kind of against actually. But maybe if I'm going to change how this is affecting my life, then it's something that I need to have a look at doing. So yeah, as I said, doctors have been very understanding and helpful, and the 2 things that have been suggested is going on the pill or having SSRIs, which is something that I may think about doing over the next couple of months. This is kind of the journey that I'm going on, so we'll see. So what I'm going to do is, so as I just talked about the symptoms that I get physically, I just want to talk about the stuff that I get mentally, because this month it's been really, really bad. So, and I also think it's probably to do with the fact that it's winter, so I definitely get affected by SAD. And I grew up in New Zealand, so I'm used to a lot more sunshine than we have in the UK. So I'm in the UK at the moment. So I just want to talk about the physical, the mental symptoms, because yeah, they are always bad. So the first thing that I get, and I mean, talking to a lot of women, I think this is what a lot of women experience, but I think mine are kind of to an extreme really. The first thing I get, and I know I'm coming on one period about 3 or 4 days before, is I get really, really sad. So things that wouldn't normally, so I might see something that is just, would normally make you a bit like, oh, okay, makes me cry. And just, you know, so I knew I was going to have pretty bad month this month, because about 3 days ago I was like really, really sad about nothing. I'm then very irritable, and irritable enough for people to know that, you know, to comment on that. I'm going to read through what it says here actually, because we'll just talk about it and they're good to. So it's really interesting that on this, the first thing they talk about is the psychological symptoms. So we just talked about the symptoms, physical symptoms. I'm just going to talk about the psychological symptoms. So obviously irritability, yeah, I mean, I'm super irritable. Nervousness. I mean, it's really interesting. I was watching somebody else talking about this, and she said it's almost like she has so she has like herself on her period and herself normally, and that is how I feel. And it's really interesting because a lot of the time they also diagnose PMDD as bipolar. And I can see why, because it is like having 2 different personalities. So I very much feel like one person on my period and another person. As I said, when I'm on my period, I want to sleep all the time. I'm super lethargic. I am like not really who I'm quite shy, and I'm not like that at all. Like the me really normally, like the rest of the month, 25 days of the month or whatever, like I'm not like that. I'm the complete opposite of that. So anyway, we'll just keep talking through this. That's another physical symptom. I didn't talk about how much I sleep when I'm on my period. So I'm just completely knackered and out of it, and definitely for the first 48 hours I'm just, anyway. So nervousness, yeah, lack of control. So that is something that's happened more and more and more, and that tends to happen if I have gone out and like had a drink when I'm on my period, which I try and not do actually, just generally because, well, methanoic acid and alcohol together are not very good, but also just I get really pissed when I'm on my period, so it's probably to do with losing blood, etc. But like I just get really, really drunk really quickly. So lack of control, well, yeah, I mean, it's basically what happened 4 years ago is I was on my period. I was going through a pretty horrible situation in a relationship, got completely shit-faced with a couple of friends, and then attacked a load of people and woke up in a cell. So, you know, and I can't remember doing any of it, but like, yeah, and then I saw a doctor afterwards because I was like, what is going on? This is obviously to do with drinking, but also to do, I think, more with my period. And then he said that it sounded like I had PMDD and a slight psychotic episode because of PMDD. So the amount of people that say that this isn't real, and you think, you know, I woke up in a cell after attacking 4 people in the middle of Norwich, in the middle of a city centre, which is on CCTV, which I haven't seen because I don't want to. Anyway, agitation, yes. I mean, I think, so they put insomnia, that's something that I have, and that's something that was happening last night. So I knew I wasn't going to go to sleep. And if I don't sleep when I'm on my period, I feel even worse because obviously I am absolutely knackered anyway. So if I get insomnia, I used to get insomnia quite a lot, but that would be caused by pain. So I'd wake up in the middle of the night, really bad cramps, and then I wouldn't be able to sleep. But also I'm exhausted. This is something that's started to happen a bit more recently. I mean, I'm knackered, but I can't sleep. Yeah, so insomnia. I don't get difficulty in concentrating. Depression, hugely so. So that's what's been happening for the last 3 days. So just, oh my God, like the world is, I don't want to describe it as dark, but I don't get that with depression. But I'm aware that my brain is functioning differently. Severe fatigue, 100%. Anxiety, yes, absolutely, that was happening yesterday. Huge anxiety attack. Confusion, I don't get confusion, but I do get very, very clumsy, which is also another symptom we're going to go on to. Forgetfulness, no, that's not something I get. Poor self-image, I get huge body dysmorphia on my period. So I put weight on, as we said, and I'm bloated, but I crazy. I don't normally have bad body image. I don't have great body image, but I don't think I'm shit on my period. I don't want to be near anybody, and I don't want anybody to touch me, even if somebody was going, oh my God, you're the most beautiful thing in the world. I don't feel like that, so it's horrible. Paranoia, I'm just nuts. I'm basically nuts. Emotionally sensitive, yes. Crying spells, yes. Moodiness, yes. Trouble sleeping, yes. And then they're talking here about fluid retention. We've already said all of that, and I get all of that. Respiratory problems, that's not something that I get. So we've also got all the other things like cramps, bloating, yeah, constipation, don't get that. Nausea, vomiting, and then there's other things here which are interesting. Headaches, I had a really bad headache yesterday, but I think that's to do with methanoic acid. Dizziness, don't get dizziness and fainting. I used to feel faint when I was in pain, but that was because I was just in so much pain. I have always easily bruised, so I wonder if that's just something that if I go on a pill or try and alter my hormones in some way will change. I don't get heart palpitations or muscle spasms unless I do drugs, and I'm not doing drugs on my period. Decreased coordination, hugely. I'm like the clumsiest person on my period. Painful menstruation, hells yes. Diminished sex drive, this is something that's really interesting, and I was watching somebody talk about this yesterday. So I am quite a sexually active human being, and on my period I don't want to have sex at all. I want someone to hug me and tell me the world is not shit, but having sex, nope. Appetite changes hugely. I eat loads before, and I don't want to eat anything on my period at all, probably because I feel really bloated and really sick. Food cravings, yeah, I just want loads of chocolate before, but I think that's a normal thing. I don't know if it's normal. Hey, we're all different, aren't we? So yeah, so really this is just, so they're the physical stuff we talked about and the mental stuff we talked about, and then we talked about what happened to me 4 years ago, so that was quite scary. And just that, obviously, when I remember when I was, sort of 15, I would go to the doctors and the first thing they'd say is just go on the pill, go on the pill, go on the pill. And I feel like now they're progressing a lot more. And, I saw a nutritionist when I was about 18 and she suggested changing my diet. And actually, I mean, really, I am, just to give you a bit more backstory, I'm quite a healthy person. I drink too much, definitely, but I don't smoke really, do drugs occasionally, but not hugely. I eat quite well. I exercise every day, so I run sort of 5k every day, and that's something that I started doing mentally to lose weight, like a whole load of things, which I would never give up now. Exercise is a big part of my life, something that's really important, and I think probably does help my periods as well. But yeah, just it will be very interesting, I guess, to see what happens, because what I'm trying to gain, I think, is a way in which I don't have to give up 5 days of my life, and I don't feel like this. And as I said earlier, I think probably for everybody it's different. So some months I'm fine. In the summer, I find things a lot easier to deal with. I lived in North Africa for quite a long time, and my period pains almost evaporated. But I say that they didn't really. That was somewhere very hot, and I was running around all the time. I was doing yoga all the time because of the lifestyle I was living. So I think all of that was helping. And I think if you're somewhere warm, then obviously you're going to be more relaxed. Your body is more relaxed. But the kind of mental feelings of it were there. And I think also something for me that's really interesting is that I'm actually terrified of my period. So I am scared of it because when I was younger, I was in so much pain that obviously you don't want to feel like that every month, and you're going to feel like that every month. And yeah, I think that psychologically I am terrified, and as I've got older, it's nowhere near as bad. And things like taking methylenic acid has helped hugely, but in the back of my head the whole time is I really don't want to be on my period. It'd be very nice to get to a stage in my life where I'm like, I'm okay with my period, it's just a thing, it's not something I'm going So as I said again, I think a lot of what was going on yesterday was, it's New Year's Eve, I should be out, I should be having a good time. And I know that if I had stayed in London and done this gig, this whole day would have been a struggle. I would have felt disgusting, fat, would have been going, I can't get into any of my clothes. I would have been in pain all day. I will be absolutely exhausted. And I'm lucky that actually I'm psoriasis. So I know the guys in my band, if I'd been going, oh my God, I feel like shit, they'd be really sweet and they'd be helpful, and they're not dickheads. So I'm lucky I've got that. But I have had in the past people who just, you work for people and they don't give a shit, and like this, whatever. But it's terrible, and I'm glad the world is moving on and actually recognizing that things like this are horrible. Because if you're in a massive amount of pain and your brain feels like someone has extracted it and put another brain in, it's horrible. So my goal with this is to see if I can bring some factors in, maybe the pill, maybe some SSRIs, and some kind of pain relief, although I think the pain relief is probably at a point where it's being managed. So as I've said before, methylenic acid and paracetamol. It will be very interesting if I'm going to go and see somebody next week. I'm going to go and see a doctor again, and I've decided to go to, rather than the last two doctors I've seen have been male. They've both been good, but I'd quite like to see a woman. And I saw a woman something to do with an STD earlier this year, and she was amazing. So I'm going to go back and try and see her. She works at an STD clinic, but she just seemed to have such more of an understanding than both the male doctors I saw have. I mean, we were talking about something else. It wasn't to do with my periods, but just her understanding of what we were talking about seemed amazing. So it'd be very interesting to possibly go and see her and see what she suggests. And maybe try something. Maybe try going on the pill for 6 months and seeing how that goes, or an alternative, SSRIs. I don't know. I'm going to go and speak to her, see what her suggestions are, and try and get this a bit more under control, because 5 days of my life every month is not worth giving up. And yeah, we'll see what happens in the future, but I'm going to keep documenting on here and trying to tell women that this is normal, because it is, or well, actually that's abnormal, and that if you feel like this, you probably should go and get some help if that's what you want to do. But yeah, nice to talk to everybody. Hope that's been a good kind of understanding of having shitty painful periods and PMDD every month. So yeah, I will be back on here and talk a little bit more about what's happened, what I've decided to do, the course I've decided to go on anyway. We'll see. All right, bye.